Have you ever wondered why a path that is supposed to bring peace can somehow turn your social life into tension and silent resentment? Have you ever noticed that the more you call someone a spiritual friend, the more you feel pressured to stay close even when your heart is quietly pulling away? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a kind of tiredness that almost nobody dares to name out loud. The tiredness that comes from spiritual friendships that start with good intentions and end with exhaustion. The tiredness of feeling like you are practicing kindness, yet somehow becoming more irritated. The tiredness of thinking you are building a supportive circle, yet finding yourself stuck in cliques, gossip, subtle competition, and emotional debt. Hold to main ideas with me. First idea. A Dharma friend is not the same as a regular best friend in the worldly sense. When we confuse those two roles, we can turn a rare supportive connection into a heavy attachment. Second idea. The most precious part of spiritual connection is not constant closeness. It is mutual remembrance. It is the gentle ability to bring each other back to clarity when the mind drifts into craving, anger, jealousy, pride, or despair. If you take nothing else from this long story, take this. Not every warm connection is meant to become a tight bond. Some connections are meant to be respectful. Some are meant to be distant but sincere. Some are meant to meet once in a while, like two lanterns on the same road. When you force intimacy where the conditions are not ripe, you do not create closeness. You create pressure. And pressure is one of the fastest ways to lose joy in practice. Now let us start in a place that feels familiar. Imagine a person who begins practicing seriously. They start meditating. They start studying. They stop chasing noisy entertainment. Their old friends do not understand. Conversations feel shallow. Invitations feel tempting but empty. So naturally they look for people who share the same values. They find a group, a community, a class, a local circle, a temple, an online space. At first it feels like water after a long thirst. They meet people who talk about mindfulness, compassion, karma, healing, self-discipline, and inner peace. They finally feel seen. They finally feel understood. They finally feel like they are not alone. And then something quietly happened. They begin to call these people my spiritual family, my real friends, my Dharma siblings. And because the heart is sincere, they start investing the way they invested in worldly friendships, daily messages, constant emotional sharing, expectations of loyalty, expectations of immediate replies, expectations that everyone should be close and supportive all the time. That is when the fatigue begins. Not always right away. Sometimes it takes months. Sometimes it takes years. But you will recognize the signs. A slight dread when your phone buzzes. A subtle irritation when someone sends long voice notes about their struggles again and again. A feeling of walking on eggshells because the group mood changes fast. A sense that you cannot step back without being judged as cold or unkind or not spiritual enough. And if you are honest, you might even feel something that scares you. You might feel that being around certain spiritual friends makes your mind more scattered, not more calm. More reactive, not more compassionate. More anxious, not more free. This is where we need wisdom. Because the problem is not that spiritual friendship is bad. The problem is that we often bring the same attachment patterns into a space that requires more clarity than ever. A worldly friendship often grows through shared tastes and shared habits. We like the same music. We enjoy the same humor. We complain about similar things. We bond through stories about people and events. That is not evil. It is simply the ordinary way people connect. But a Dharma friendship has a different purpose. It is a relationship that supports awakening. It supports ethical living. It supports mindfulness. It supports compassion. It supports the reduction of suffering. It supports the cultivation of wisdom. If we turn Dharma friendship into a stage for emotional dependency, we pull the relationship away from its purpose. And when purpose is lost, karma becomes messy. Because the same words that could have been reminders become weapons. The same closeness that could have been support becomes control. The same kindness that could have been generosity becomes emotional bargaining. Let me tell you a story. I will call her Elena. Elena discovered Buddhist practice during a difficult season. She was exhausted from work. She had a breakup that shook her sense of identity. She carried anxiety that kept her awake at night. One day she stumbled into a meditation class and felt something she had not felt in years. Stillness, space, a softening in the chest. A feeling that maybe her life did not have to be a constant struggle. Elena kept going back. She learned to sit with her breath. She learned to watch thoughts without chasing them. She learned the basics of karma as cause and effect. She learned the idea of compassion as a practice, not just a feeling. In that group she met two women. I will call them Rachel and Monica. They were warm. They invited Elena for tea. They shared their own journeys. They spoke about retreats and teachers and daily practice. Elena felt grateful. She felt protected. She felt like she had found her people. So Elena did what many sincere people do. She gave her heart quickly. She started texting them every day. She shared everything. Her fears, her old wounds, her family problems, her doubts, her dreams. She asked for advice constantly because she believed spiritual friends should guide each other. Rachel and Monica responded at first with enthusiasm. They were kind. They listened. They offered suggestion. They encouraged Elena to keep practicing. Elena felt safe. And because she felt safe, she leaned even more. Then one day Rachel did not reply for several hours. Elena noticed a spike of anxiety. She told herself do not be attached, but her body still felt tight. Monica replied briefly and said she was busy. Elena smiled but felt strange. She began to wonder if she had done something wrong. She began to replay her last message. Was it too long? Was it too negative? Was she burdening them? Here is the first hidden trap. We often use spiritual concepts to judge ourselves harshly. Elena told herself, I should not be needy. I should not cling. A good practitioner would not feel this. But the truth is simple. Feeling is not failure. Feeling is information. The practice is not to pretend you do not cling. The practice is to see clinging clearly and respond wisely. Elena did not respond wisely. She responded with more reaching. She sent another message apologizing for being a burden. She offered to stop sharing so much. She tried to pull away dramatically so that they would reassure her. Rachel replied with a heart emoji and said, do not worry. Monica said everything is fine. Elena felt relief, but that relief lasted only a short time, because the pattern was now planted. Anxiety. Temporary reassurance. Repeat. Over the next months, Elena became more entangled. She wanted to be included in everything. She wanted to be invited. She wanted to be seen as a true member of the inner circle. She started comparing herself to others in the group. When someone else shared a retreat photo, Elena felt envy. When someone received praise from a teacher, Elena felt small. And then something darker happened. The group began to form subtle faction. Rachel liked one style of practice. Monica liked another. People started whispering about who was more authentic, who was more devoted, who was too worldly, who was too emotional, who was too strict. Elena found herself in the middle. She wanted to be loyal to both. She wanted to keep peace. She wanted to be kind. But she also wanted to belong. So she started adjusting her words depending on who she talked to. She started holding secrets. She started carrying emotional weight that was not hers to carry. She began to feel tired after every gathering. She began to dread the subtle social politics. She began to think maybe spiritual communities are hypocritical. Maybe people use Dharma words but behave like everyone else. This is where many people become disillusioned. They leave. They quit. They say, I do not need community. I will practice alone. Sometimes that is a wise reset. But often, it is also a missed lesson. Because the problem is not community itself. The problem is how we relate. The problem is the misplacement of expectation. The problem is attachment disguised as virtue. Let us pause and make something very clear. A Dharma friend is not someone who must always comfort you. A Dharma friend is not someone who must always agree with you. A Dharma friend is not someone you must merge your life with. A Dharma friend is someone who supports your clarity. Sometimes that support is gentle. Sometimes it is firm. Sometimes it is simply their steady example. Sometimes it is their silence. Sometimes it is their boundary. In many Buddhist teachings, there is an emphasis on spiritual companionship as a precious condition, not because it gives you constant warmth, but because it helps you not forget the path. So what does it mean to forget the path? It means you get pulled into craving and aversion. You start chasing validation. You start fearing rejection. You start building identity around being spiritual. You start defending your image. You start collecting allies. You start seeing others as threats. Notice how quickly this can happen inside a spiritual friend group. If you call someone my best Dharma friend and you start needing them to reply fast and include you and choose you, then your mind is no longer free. You are practicing bondage. This is why non-attachment is not coldness. Non-attachment is respect for reality. It is the willingness to let people be who they are without forcing them into your emotional needs. Now I want to tell you about another person. I will call him Daniel. Daniel was older than Elena and had practiced longer. He had a calm presence. People trusted him. Newcomers often wanted him to mentor them. Daniel did something that confused people. He was friendly but not intimate. He was warm but not clingy. He was helpful but not always available. When someone poured out a long story, Daniel listened carefully. Then he would ask a question that returned the person to responsibility. He would say, "What is the next wise step you can take?" Or he would say, "What part of this is within your control?" Or he would say, "What are you avoiding feeling right now?" Some people felt uncomfortable. They wanted soothing. They wanted agreement. They wanted someone to take their side. Daniel did not play that game. He did not do it because he was cold. He did it because he respected karma. He knew that if you constantly rescue someone emotionally, you can train them to depend on rescue. That dependence becomes suffering. It becomes an invisible chain. The rescuer becomes exhausted. The rescued becomes weaker. All feel trapped. Daniel also understood something else. In spiritual practice, there is a difference between compassion and attachment. Compassion says, "I care about your suffering, and I want to support your freedom." Attachment says, "I need you to need me so that I feel important." Or, "I need you to be close so that I feel safe." Many people do not like hearing this because it is uncomfortable. But if you want awakening, you must be willing to look. Let us return to Eleanor. Eventually, there was a conflict in the group. A misunderstanding. Someone felt excluded. Someone felt criticized. The chat group exploded with passive-aggressive comments. People took sides. The teacher tried to calm things down, but emotions were already high. Elena felt her stomach twist. She told herself, "I came here to reduce suffering. Why is it creating more suffering?" She felt disappointed. Then she felt angry. Then she felt ashamed for being angry. That night she called Monica. Monica talked for an hour about how Rachel was manipulative. Elena listened and tried to soothe Monica. After the call, Elena felt drained. Then Rachel texted Elena and asked if Monica had said anything. Elena froze. This is the second hidden wrap. When you treat Dharma friends like worldly best friends, you can get pulled into triangles and alliances. You begin to manage other people's emotion. You begin to carry information. You begin to fear being seen as disloyal. In spiritual terms, your mind becomes scattered. In karmic terms, your speech becomes risky. Because the more you repeat other people's words, the more you create conditions for conflict. Even if you mean well. Elena tried to navigate it by being extra nice. She sent kind messages to both. She said we should all be compassionate. We should all let go. She used spiritual language, but the energy behind her words was fear. Fear of losing connection. Fear of being rejected. Fear of being alone again. People can feel that. When your kindness is driven by fear, it does not land as peace. It lands as pressure. Rachel replied with a short message. Monica left Elena unread. Elena cried. She felt betrayed. She felt foolish. She felt like she had given her heart to the wrong people. Now here is the turning point. Elena did something different. Instead of quitting the community, she scheduled a private meeting with Daniel. She told him everything. The closeness, the expectations, the chat group tension, the exhaustion, the tears. Daniel listened without judging anyone. Then he said something simple that changed Elena. He said, you treated precious karmic connections as emotional contracts. You turned Dharma friends into emotional anchors. That is why you feel tired. Elena felt defensive. She said, but we are supposed to support each other. Daniel nodded. Then he said, yes. Support each other in the direction of freedom, not in the direction of bondage. That sentence hit Elena like a bell. Support in the direction of freedom. Then Daniel explained with an everyday example. If someone is learning to walk and you hold them, forever they will never build strength. True support is holding when needed and releasing when possible so the person can stand. In practice, that means you can listen to a friend, but you do not become their constant therapist. You can encourage a friend, but you do not become their source of identity. You can help a friend, but you do not trade help for closeness. You can be kind, but you do not dissolve your boundaries. Elena asked, how do I know the difference between healthy closeness and unhealthy attachment? Daniel said, watch your body. When you are attached, you feel tight. You feel hungry. You feel anxious. You feel like you need a certain response. You feel like you must control the relationship. When you are connected in a healthy way, you feel warm and spacious. You can give and also rest. You can meet and also separate. You can disagree and still respect. You can be close without fear. This is where mindfulness becomes real. Not just on a cushion. Mindfulness in relationships. Mindfulness in messaging. Mindfulness in expectation. Elena then said something that many people feel but rarely admit. She said, I feel like I have to be close to prove I am sincere. Daniel smiled gently and said, sincerity is proven by conduct, by patience, by right speech, by humility, by honesty, by consistent practice, not by constant contact. That became Elena a new practice. Not constant contact, consistent practice. Now I want to bring this teaching to you as if we are sitting together. Because you might be Elena, or you might be Rachel, or you might be Monica, or you might be the one who feels tired and does not know why. A spiritual community is like a garden. It can nourish you. But if you bring the wrong tools, you can damage the soil. If you bring gossip, you bring weeds. If you bring comparison, you bring pests. If you bring clinging, you bring overwatering that rots roots. So how do you use a precious connection the right way? You treat it like a lamp, not like a chain. A lamp helps you see the road. A chain ties you to a person. Let us talk about the right way with more depth and with stories that feel real. There is a common misunderstanding that being spiritual means being emotionally available all the time. People think compassion means saying yes. People think kindness means never disappointing anyone. People think a good Dharma friend should always reply quickly, always listen, always show up. That is not compassion. That is fear dressed as virtue. And it leads to burnout. Real compassion includes wisdom. Wisdom knows limits. Wisdom knows timing. Wisdom knows that saying no can prevent resentment. Wisdom knows that distance can protect respect. Wisdom knows that silence can avoid harmful speech. This is why in the Buddhist path ethics matter. Right speech matters. Right intention matters. Right speech is not only avoiding lies. Right speech also avoids divisive talk and harsh talk and idle talk. Now think about how much of our modern spiritual friend communication is exactly that. Divisive talk about who is right. Harsh talk disguised as honesty. Idle talk that becomes endless emotional looping. So a precious spiritual friendship is one that improves your speech karma. When you talk to them, you become more mindful. You become more honest without being cruel. You become more responsible. You become more calm. If a friendship makes you more reactive, more gossipy, more resentful, more anxious, then it is not functioning as Dharma friendship, even if both of you meditate. Now do not misunderstand. I am not saying abandon everyone the moment there is difficulty. Difficulties are also practice. They reveal your clinging. They reveal your pride. They reveal your fear. But you need to know what you are practicing. Are you practicing patience and compassion? Or are you practicing attachment and emotional drama? Here is a simple mirror. After you spend time with a spiritual friend, do you feel more awake or more foggy? Do you feel more steady or more stirred up? Do you feel more humble or more superior? Do you feel more compassionate or more judgmental? These questions are not to shame you. They are to wake you up. Awakening is often that simple. Seeing clearly, Elena began to experiment. She started reducing constant messaging. She stopped sending dramatic apologies. She stopped checking who viewed her story. She stopped trying to be included in everything. At first, she felt withdrawal. That is important. Attachment feels like withdrawal when you stop feeding it. You might feel lonely. You might feel anxious. You might feel like you are failing at kindness. But then something surprising happens. Space returns. When space returns, you can hear your own mind again. When you can hear your own mind, you can practice. When you can practice, your confidence grows. When confidence grows, you cling less. This is how destiny shifts. One small behavioral change creates a new karmic pattern. Elena also practiced a new form of generosity. Instead of giving her attention as a way to secure closeness, she gave attention as a pure gift. She listened when she truly had capacity. When she did not, she replied kindly and briefly and said, "I cannot talk long today, but I am wishing you well, and I will sit for a few minutes and dedicate the calm to you." That may sound simple, but it changes everything. Because it removes the hidden contract. It removes the idea that if I listen to you, then you must listen to me. It removes the idea that if I support you, then you must choose me. When contracts dissolve, compassion becomes clean. Clean compassion feels light. Now let us address something even more subtle. Many people use spiritual friendship to avoid loneliness. This is human, but it can become a trap if you treat community as a replacement for inner work. Loneliness is not always a sign you need more people. Sometimes loneliness is a sign you need deeper presence with yourself. Sometimes it is an invitation to cultivate inner refuge. If you cannot sit with yourself, you will use friends as distraction. And even spiritual friends can become distraction. So part of using precious connections the right way is learning how to be alone without collapsing. Learning how to sit quietly without needing constant reassurance. Learning how to meet discomfort with breathing and awareness. When you do that, your friendships become healthier because you are not asking them to carry your inner emptiness. You are meeting them from fullness, not from hunger. This is why meditation matters. It is not to look peaceful. It is to create inner stability so you do not turn relationships into survival strategies. Now I want to talk about another common issue. In spiritual circles, comparison can become very tricky. Because people compare practice level. People compare how often they meditate. People compare how strict their diet is. People compare how many retreats they attend. People compare how close they are to a teacher. This kind of comparison is poison. It turns the path into a competition. It creates pride and shame. Pride and shame both create suffering. A Dharma friend is someone who helps you drop comparison, not someone who feeds it. If your friend constantly posts about how advanced they aren't, it triggers your insecurity, then you need to practice differently. That does not mean they are evil. It means you need boundaries and inner work. Elena noticed that certain conversations always ended with subtle ranking. Someone would say, "I meditate 2 hours a day." Someone would say, "I have done 10 retreats." Someone would hint that others are still very worldly. Elena used to feel pressured to match. Then she remembered Daniel's words, support in the direction of freedom, not bondage. So she began to respond differently. She would say, "That is wonderful. For me today, the most important practice is to speak gently to my mother." Or she would say, "My practice is to be honest without blaming." Or she would say, "I am learning to be consistent, not intense." This shifted the energy. It moved the conversation from identity to intention. from image to conduct. Now let us return to the heart of the title. You are tired because you are using a precious connection the wrong way. What is the wrong way? The wrong way is treating spiritual affinity as personal possession. My group, my people, my best Dharma friend, my inner circle. When you possess, you fear loss. When you fear loss, you control. When you control, you create tension. When there is tension, you suffer. What is the right way? The right way is treating spiritual affinity as a blessing to be honored with humility and non-attachment. You meet, you support, you encourage, you respect, you let go. This may sound abstract, so let me make it very concrete with more story. After the conflict, Helena decided to speak directly with Rachel, not to blame, not to demand, but to clear the air. She invited Rachel for coffee. She said, I value you and I have been attached in ways that created pressure. I want to practice differently. I want to relate with more freedom and respect. Rachel looked relieved. She admitted she had felt overwhelmed by the constant messaging. She admitted she had felt guilty when she did not reply. She admitted she had also been attached to being seen as a good spiritual friend. They laughed a little. Not because the pain was funny, but because the truth was freeing. Then Elena said something important. She said, can we be Dharma friends without being emotionally merged? Can we support each other without constant contact? Rachel said yes. And that yes changed everything. Because it created a new agreement. Not a contract of closeness, but an agreement of practice. They decided to check in once a week, not every hour. They decided to share one practice challenge and one insight each week. Not endless emotional looping. They decided to avoid speaking badly about others in the group. Not because they were suppressing truth, but because they wanted to protect right speech. Over time, their connection became cleaner. Elena no longer felt dread. Rachel no longer felt pressure. And their practice improved because their relationship became part of the path, rather than a distraction from it. Now what about Monica? Elena also spoke to Monica, but the outcome was different. Monica wanted loyalty. Monica wanted Elena to take sides. Monica wanted Elena to prove closeness by sharing private information. Elena could feel the trap. She felt tightness in her stomach. She remembered the body signal Daniel taught her. Tight means attachment. So Elena responded with calm boundaries. She said, I care about you and I do not want to be in the middle. I am focusing on my own practice and right speech. I hope you can find peace too. Monica became distant. She stopped inviting Elena. She made subtle comments. Elena felt pain, but she also felt relief. Here is the lesson. Not every connection will continue when you practice boundary. Some connections survive only through attachment. When you remove the attachment, the relationship fades. That is not always a tragedy. Sometimes it is karma clearing. Sometimes it is a kindness to both of you, because it prevents more resentment later. Now I want to speak to the viewer who feels guilty about stepping back. You might think I am abandoning them. I am failing compassion. Let me tell you something gently. Compassion is not the same as access. You can care about someone without being constantly available. You can wish them well without becoming their emotional container. You can be kind without joining their drama. And sometimes the most compassionate act is to refuse to participate in harmful patterns. Because participation is also a form of encouragement. If your friend constantly gossips and you always listen, they will keep gossiping. If your friend constantly complains and you always rescue, they will keep avoiding responsibility. You can support them better by modeling clarity, by offering a grounded presence, by encouraging practice, by reminding them of breathing, unethical speech, and patience. Now let us take this further into the deeper spiritual meaning. In Buddhist language, we talk about conditions. A precious connection is a condition that supports awakening. But conditions are impermanent. People change. Situations change. Minds change. So clinging to a connection is clinging to something that will change anyway. That clinging becomes suffering. The wise approach is gratitude without grasping. You appreciate what the connection offered. You learn what it taught you. You let it evolve. This is also karma. When you relate with gratitude and non-attachment, you plant seeds of ease. When you relate with control and fear, you plant seeds of anxiety. Now I want to share a story that might sound surprising. Amen, I know. I will call Peter once told me his best spiritual friend was someone he rarely talked to. They met at a retreat years ago. They lived in different cities. They exchanged a few messages a year. But every time they spoke, it was like tuning a musical instrument. They asked each other one question. Are you practicing? They spoke about obstacles. They reminded each other of impermanence. They encouraged compassion. Then they returned to their lives. Peter said that relationship gave him more strength than many daily friendships because it had no drama. It had purpose. It had respect. It had freedom. This is what many people miss. Depth is not measured by frequency. Depth is measured by sincerity and direction. Now let us talk about how to tell when you are misusing a precious spiritual connection. Here are some signs described as stories rather than a checklist. You open your phone and you feel you must reply immediately, or you will be a bad person. You are not replying from kindness. You are replying from fear. You share personal information, not because it is wise, but because you want closeness. You then regret it later. That regret is wisdom knocking. You feel jealous when your spiritual friend spends time with others. You tell yourself it is fine, but your chest feels tight. That tightness is attachment. You feel like you cannot disagree because you might lose the relationship. So you pretend. That pretending becomes resentment. Resentment becomes distance. You notice that conversations revolve around other people's faults. Who is sincere? Who is fake? Who is too worldly? That is not Dharma friendship. That is ego bonding using spiritual vocabulary. You notice you are constantly analyzing social dynamics instead of practicing. You are thinking about who said what instead of watching your breath. You are protecting your position instead of softening your heart. If you recognize these patterns, do not panic. Panic is also ego. Just see it. Name it gently. Then practice differently. Now let us talk about the right way to cultivate Dharma friendship in a modern English-speaking world. First, keep your intention clean. Before you message a friend, ask yourself, why am I sending this? Is it to share something useful? Is it to ask for wise guidance? Is it to offer support? Or is it to reduce my anxiety by pulling them closer? If it is anxiety, breathe first. Feel the anxiety. Let it pass a little. Then choose. This is minimalist. Second, protect right speech, especially online. Online communication can easily become reactive. Messages lack tone. People misinterpret. Emotions escalate. So speak slower. Not in speed, but in care. If you feel heat, do not type. Wait. Respond when you can be kind. Third, avoid triangle speech. If you have an issue with someone, speak to them directly when possible. Do not process it endlessly with a third party. That habit creates division and suspicion. It poisons community. Fourth, respect boundaries as part of practice. If a friend does not reply quickly, do not make it a story. They might be resting. They might be working. They might be overwhelmed. Let people be human. Learn to separate emotional intimacy from spiritual support. Spiritual support can be simple. A reminder to breathe. A reminder of impermanence. A reminder to act ethically. A reminder to be compassionate. Emotional intimacy is different. It involves deep personal sharing. It can be beautiful when mutual and mature. But if forced, it becomes burden. So do not assume that because someone practices, they must hold your deepest emotional material. Choose carefully. Share wisely. 6. Keep your refuge inside. That means your stability does not depend on the group mood. You practice even when nobody praises you. You meditate even when nobody invites you. You act kindly even when you feel unseen. This inner refuge is what makes friendships healthy, because you are not using them to stabilize your identity. Now let us return to Elena one more time. After months of practicing boundaries and clarity, she noticed something. She began enjoying the community again. She could attend gatherings without analyzing every face. She could listen without absorbing everything. She could help without becoming responsible for everyone's feelings. She also became more honest. When someone gossiped, she would gently redirect. She would say, "I do not want to speak about them when they are not here." Or she would say, "Maybe we should send them kindness instead." At first people teased her. They said, "You are so serious." But over time something changed. The gossip decreased around her because she did not feed it. This is how one person practice can change a field. In Buddhism, we say mind influences mind. One steady person can calm a room. One mindful person can reduce harm. Elena also discovered a more mature form of friendship. She stopped chasing closeness and started appreciating character. She valued the people who practiced right speech. She valued the people who kept humility. She valued the people who could admit mistakes. She valued the people who did not need to be right. Those qualities are rare, and when you find them, you cherish them without clinging. Now I want to speak about the ending of spiritual friendships because that is one of the most painful parts. When a worldly friendship ends, people understand. They say we grew apart. Different lifestyles, different interests. But when a spiritual friendship ends, people feel extra shame. They think if we weren't really practicing, this would not happen. That is not true. People still have karma. People still have personalities. People still have wounds. Practice does not erase all differences overnight. Sometimes a spiritual friendship ends because the conditions no longer support growth. Sometimes it ends because one person wants drama and the other wants peace. Sometimes it ends because attachment turned into control. Sometimes it ends because boundaries were not respected. When it ends, you can still practice. You can bow inwardly. You can be grateful for what you learned. You can release resentment. You can educate merit. You can wish them well. This is compassion. Compassion does not require continued closeness. Compassion requires a heart that refuses to hate. Now let me share something personal in a way that might mirror your own life. There was a time when I also confused spiritual friendship with emotional merging. I believed that if we practiced together, we should be close like family. I believed that constant sharing was sincerity. But I noticed the same pattern. The more I merged, the more sensitive I became. The more sensitive I became, the more easily I got hurt. The more easily I got hurt, the more I judged. Then I realized I was not practicing freedom. I was practicing attachment in a robe of virtue. What helped me was a simple shift. I began to treat spiritual friends like fellow travelers on a long road. We can walk near each other for a while. We can share water. We can point out dangers, but we do not have to hold hands all day. Sometimes one person walks ahead. Sometimes another rests. Sometimes paths separate and later meet again. When I held that image, my heart softened and my expectations relaxed. And when expectations relax, kindness becomes easier. This is the deeper teaching. Much of our suffering in relationships is not caused by people. It is caused by the story of how they should be for us. When you drop the story, you can finally see the person. When you see the person, you can respond wisely. Now I want to close this long talk with a reflection that will likely create real resonance. Many of you have felt tired in spiritual communities and then felt guilty for being tired. You thought tired means I am not compassionate enough. But tired often means you are overgiving without wisdom. Or you are clinging while calling it loyalty. Or you are carrying emotional burdens that are not yours. So listen carefully. The path is not to become colder. The path is to become clearer. And clarity is kindness because it prevents future harm. If you want a simple practice from today, take this. Before you call someone a close Dharma friend, pause and ask, does this relationship make my mind more awake? Does it support my ethics? Does it encourage right speech? Does it make me kinder to difficult people, not just nicer to my group? Does it help me face my own mind rather than avoid it? If yes, cherish it. If not, do not force it. Keep respect. Keep distance. Keep goodwill. And if you are already entangled, start small. Reduce frequency. Increase sincerity. Choose conversations that support practice. Step away from gossip. Refuse triangles. Protect your peace without hostility. This is how you use a precious connection the right way. You use it to remember the path, not to build a new cage. Thank you for staying with me through this long story. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt exhausted by spiritual friends or spiritual groups, and did you figure out why? What boundary or insight changed everything for you? Share your experience in the comments so others can learn and feel less alone. If you want more long-form talks that blend mindfulness, karma, compassion, and practical relationship wisdom, subscribe to the channel and like the video so it reaches people who need it. Keep practicing with a soft heart and a clear mind, and remember, the most precious friendships do not bind you. They free you.
Every person carries a certain energy. Your focus, your dreams, your purpose. Bracelet is a physical reminder of that energy. Symbol you wear daily. That pushes you to stay grounded, balanced, and aligned. If one of the bracelets caught your eye, you can order it through the link in the description. And check more powerful styles on our homepage store. Choose the one that strengthens your journey.